our homework that we discussed yesterday? Did everybody do the homework? Okay, because this was a completion grade. All right, can you show me your printed out? Amazing. All right. Here's where the bribery comes in. The first 2 people who volunteer to share what they found will get a piece of candy. Joe gets a piece of candy. Anybody else want a piece of candy? Perfect. Joe, go first.
Alright, so I printed out a picture, like their pictures, like one of them is Chevy drives the Motor City, so it's like bandwagon. And then the other one's Aaron Rodgers saves the game, State Farm saves you money. And then there's Hope with Obama's face on it.
Fantastic. Alright, so what 3 types of propaganda were those?
Oh, Chevy drives the Motor City was bandwagon.
Okay.
Obama one, that was glittering generalities, and same thing with the State Farm one.
Fantastic. I'm so sorry. All right, and can you remind me of your name?
Marcus.
Marcus. Go ahead.
It says Foxlandia, nothing but fictions. They're making fun of Fox News. It's name calling. And then the Republic Governor of Texas has admitted that other power sources were to blame. And it's like a testimonial.
Okay.
And then I have another one, but I'm not sure if it is or not.
Okay.
A laboratory where pro-Trump propaganda gets manufactured for the GOP bases consumption in its most unalloyed and poisonous form. So I said that was card stacking because it's kind of a lot.
That's card stacking? All right, I would even say that that's name calling. There you go. No, I'm so sorry. I'm really good at throwing pieces of candy, can't you tell? All right. So the whole point of this assignment, because it was a completion grade, the whole point of this was to get you to realize, to become a more discerning reader. That was the point. We don't want to just sit by and let people tell us what to think. The whole point of being in school right now is so that you can figure out why you believe what you believe. The whole point of being in school, if you graduated from high school not knowing how to think for yourself, then you didn't do your job. All right, so that's what I really wanted you guys to come away with, to be discerning readers. All right, Phillis Wheatley. Phillis Wheatley, everybody did the reading, correct? Because we're going to be doing a lot of discussion today. You guys can keep your notes face side down right now. We're just gonna talk a little bit. That's gonna be for studying later. But I want to discuss some things with you that I don't want you guys to see what I think. I want to hear what you guys think first. All right, Phillis Wheatley was brought from Africa to America and sold as a slave. She was purchased by John Wheatley to be a servant for his wife. However, Wheatley's mistress really thought that it was important for her to be educated. They almost sort of adopted her. She was more like a daughter than a slave for them. Again, right here it says, I was treated more like her child than her servant, and they treated her quite well. They made sure that she was well educated. Her education was mostly classical in nature. So she learned Latin, she learned Milton, Pope, Shakespeare, any of the classical writers. I know you guys have been going over literature, so I'm sure you guys all know who these people are. And then they also taught her scripture, which was probably the biggest influence in her writing. Her poetry represents the poetic fashions of the later 18th and early 19th centuries, both in form and content. So, how old are you guys in this class?
16.
All right, so her first poem was published when she was your age. Can you guys imagine being like a published poet at your age right now? That'd be so cool. So she actually ended up spending some time in England, and she returned to America in 1778 as a free woman. She actually ended up getting married, and they were family together. She did really well with her poetry. She was really well known. Actually, the book says she was probably our first important Black writer in America. So that's really, her stuff is really important, and she actually is really beautiful. Her memoirs were actually published 50 years after she died, and then a volume of her letters were published 30 years after that. Okay, so our first of all, before we move on, do we have any questions just about her background? To the University of Cambridge. I want you guys to go ahead and open your books. To the University of Cambridge. Does anybody have the page number for that?
134.
34?
134.
134, thank you. Okay, go ahead and open up to 134. Can I get a volunteer for a piece of candy to read that first stanza out loud? Nate, I saw your hand first.
While an intrinsic ardor prompts to write, the muses promise to assist my pen. It was not long since I left my native shore, the land of errors and Egyptian gloom. Father of mercy, 'twas thy gracious hand brought me in safety from those dark abodes.
Alright, so there's a lot of language in there that we don't really use anymore. What do you guys think intrinsic ardor means? For candy. Passion. Intrinsic ardor. Yeah, that could be passion. What does intrinsic mean? Maybe internal? Intrinsic, internal? Intrinsic ardor, that's like an inner urge. Can you read that sentence again nice and loud that has intrinsic ardor?
While an intrinsic ardor prompts to write, the muses promise to assist my pen.
Alright, so she's saying that she has this inner urge that she has to write. She cannot not write. Alright, what about Egyptian gloom? Does that talk about like the weather in Egypt right now? I'm gonna say probably not.
Well, she was probably an Egyptian, so like she was taken away from Egypt or whatever. I don't know.
So it's actually not really talking about Egypt as a place. Good guess though. It's talking more about a spiritual darkness. So really popular, like I'm sure everybody knows about the Egyptian gods. That's more what she's referencing, is a spiritual darkness than the weather in Egypt. Okay, can you go ahead and read the sentence that includes Egyptian gloom?
The land of errors and Egyptian gloom.
The land of errors and Egyptian gloom. That's more, like I said, of a spiritual darkness. All right. Can you guys see any biblical or classical allusions in this poem? Go ahead and take a second, skim it. Do you see any biblical or classical allusions? This is for candy. Do you guys know what a classical allusion is? First of all, let me be clear. That's anything that references, so an allusion, just any kind of allusion, is a figure of speech. So an object or a circumstance from an unrelated context is referred to covertly or indirectly. There's one in particular that like popped out to me at once when I was reading this. It is classical Greek. Look for a Greek allusion here. Yes?
The muses.
Ding, ding, ding. You get a piece of candy. The muses, she's referencing, I'm so sorry. She's referencing the muses here. That is a Greek allusion. This is why it's important for us to understand classical literature, because a lot of other literature alludes to it. So if we want a better, more in-depth understanding of what we're reading, we need to know this background. All right, so we read through the first stanza. We went through some difficult topics that we didn't previously know. What do you guys think? Read through that first stanza again. And I want one person to volunteer to tell me what they think she is saying in your own words. All right, we'll give you a couple minutes to read through that.
Just the first paragraph?
The first stanza, yeah. If you don't have a book, feel free to ask to borrow from a neighbor. We want everybody to participate. Yes. Go for it right now if you want. I'm all ears.
I think she's talking about like, when she first began to say, like, she's coming from the darkness of Egyptian blood.
Fantastic. That's a really good answer. All right, let's see if I can actually throw this a little bit better. Hey, there we go. All right, does anybody else have anything that they want to include? Did anything else jump out to you guys?
It's just, she wanted, like, that first paragraph, she wanted to tell people about it, she wanted to talk, she wanted to write it down.
Yep. That intrinsic ardor, that internal motivation. Fantastic. All right. All right, so then let's get into what she was saying here. She addressed this to students at Harvard College, okay? So it says to the University of Cambridge, that's Harvard. It's written in blank verse, so it doesn't really sound so much like a poem. It doesn't have like the rhyming at the end. It's written in blank verse. And it uses what's called explicit didacticism. It warns clearly of sin. Do you guys know what something that's didactic means?
It teaches something.
Right? Okay, but it teaches something with maybe a moral instruction. So it's not just teaching any old thing, it's teaching something with moral value. Can anybody, okay, there's this one line that Mrs. Goldsmith loves in this poem. We were talking about it yesterday. It is a fantastic example of the didactic speech here. Does anybody know, or can you, let's see, can you find a line in here that alludes specifically to this didactic teaching? So it's going to be something that specifically has moral connotations to it.
Ye pupils in each hour redeem that bears a good or bad report of you to heaven.
Okay, that's a good one. That's a good one. It's not the one I'm looking for. I'll tell you guys what it is if you can't find it. It's really, really beautiful picture. Yes, Nate?
Suppress the deadly serpent in its egg.
Amazing. You got it. Suppress the deadly serpent in its egg. I'm just gonna put my mask on and come set them on your desks now. Yes, we were talking about that for a while yesterday, about how like perfect that picture is. Suppress the deadly serpent in its egg. What do you think she is saying here? Anybody who hasn't said anything yet? What do you think she's saying when she says, suppress the deadly serpent in its egg? What is, let's break it down. What is the deadly serpent? Sin. So what is she saying here about sin? Suppress it in its egg?
Don't let it grow like so big, like it was in the very beginning. Don't let it grow to a
Beautiful. In the very beginning stages, just end it before it even starts. Fantastic. That was really good, guys. All right, I want you guys to consider, how does this, like, as students, okay, let's go. As students face the same or similar temptations, do you guys face the same or similar temptations mentioned by Wheatley here? Did you specifically feel that what she was saying could be applied to you? Are there things here that you guys also struggle with? What do you guys think? I felt like it, like I was. Right, somebody started talking and cut you off. Who was it? Joe?
Like everyone sins at some point, so that means you obviously are giving into temptation, so you're not like, you're giving space for sin to take hold in your life, so. Exactly.
So everybody, not just students, but I mean, you guys should resonate with that. This is applicable to you guys today. We all struggle with sin. We all should be working to suppress it before it becomes an adult deadly serpent, because those are a lot harder to kill than a serpent in its egg. Another thing, I think it's at the last stanza where she mentions, today's students are increasing in knowledge but not growing in wisdom. I want you guys to listen to that again. Today's students, do you think we struggle with increasing in knowledge without growing in wisdom? I think we see that a lot today. We have a lot of people who, I mean, in the history of the world, we have more well-educated people, but are we wise? I think that's something we really struggle with. So as students, I think we need to be aware that knowledge does not equal wisdom, and we need to strive for both. Yeah? All right, good job, guys. You know what I was saying. Being brought from Africa to America. So go ahead and turn to that. Is that on the same page?
Yeah.
Being brought from Africa to America. This emphasizes her awareness of God's mercy in her life. She can see the hand of God working in her life through what we would, obviously this is a horrific, tragic experience, but God meant it for good. She, in this poem, is rejoicing in what he's accomplished in her life. She was able to not only get freedom on earth, she wasn't able just to become a free woman, a well-educated free woman. She also is freed from the bondage of sin. She was also spiritually free. And this is important because she really emphasized there were people back then who didn't believe that Black people could be saved. And she is like, hold up. Obviously, salvation doesn't just apply to one skin color, it applies to all of us. We are all equal. When we all stand before God, he doesn't see our skin color. He sees what Jesus did for us on the cross. All right, we're gonna exercise our brains a little bit more. Remember when I said God meant it for good? Where else have we heard that before? What you meant for evil, God meant for good.
Joseph in the Bible.
That's right. And I noticed a lot of similarities between the story of Joseph and between what Phillis Wheatley went through. So I thought it might be kind of fun. Let's see, we can go ahead and I think, can we turn off the projector? We're going to make a T-chart. Or do you think, can you guys all see right here?
Yeah.
Because I'll still need this a little bit later. If we can make one right here, I want to make a T-chart comparing Wheatley and Joseph. All right, there should be one really big similarity here.
And 1% is Phillis.
They're both slaves. What else do they have in common? This is all you guys. Yes.
They're both hated around the people around them.
They both experienced hatred.
And
What are-
both rose to like higher positions, like Joseph became second in command and Wheatley became like a daughter instead of like a slave.
Beautiful. I love that. Let's see. Promoted. All right. Do we have any differences between the stories?
Joseph was a slave in a foreign country, but she was a slave in her like native country.
Well, she was
Or
kidnapped from Africa, so she was still in a different country. But she did end up adopting. That actually would be a similarity. They were both taken from their homeland to a new land, and they adopted their new land. Okay. Any differences between the stories? I thought of one. In my opinion, I think the famines in the two lands, one was physical and one was spiritual. There was physical famine in Egypt and a spiritual famine in America that I think that Wheatley stepped into to help resolve. I think they both did that. Right? You guys think of anything else? Okay, is there anything else you guys want to add to this t-shirt? Because we will be referencing it later. Yes.
What about the fact that Wheatley was brought on as a worker but treated as family, whereas Joseph was simply a worker? So you have a difference in how they were treated by their masters. Trying to help you guys out.
Fantastic. Great. This has been really good, guys. Yes. It is game time. I thought of another game. I enjoyed our game so much yesterday that I thought I'd make a new one.
Give everybody one.
Alright, let me grab my mask. Okay. So what we're going to do is I was telling Cherie about this. She calls it, oh, perfect. She called it Show Me. And she said that she would tell her kids to write down the answer on their whiteboard, and then they'd have to raise it up and you have to show me your answer. Okay? So first of all, let's get split into two teams. So we have 4, 5 here. 6. Okay, let's do 4, 5, 6, 7.
Too short.
Okay, so you two will be on this side, and you're gonna be on this side. Okay? So this review game is going to be over not just today's lecture, but also yesterday's. So I hope you guys were paying attention yesterday too. All right, and this is another chance to win candy. The winning team will get candy. Okay. So actually, I'm gonna that. Thank you. All right, does everybody have a whiteboard and a marker? We're good? We're ready? All right, you all know what teams you're on? Okay. So we'll have this side. What's your team name?
That's our team.
Peak in February.
Our peak in February.
Peak in February.
Yes.
How about one word that's a little easier to
Peak.
All right, so this side over here, you guys are peak.
No, we're peak.
We're
They're
Toby.
Toby.
We're Toby. They're
You guys are peak, you guys are Toby?
Hey, we need different mark over here.
All right. Every person who gets the correct answer earns a point for your teams. All right, are we all ready? Okay. Here we go. Where was Thomas Paine originally from? Oh, you weren't here yesterday, were you?
Oh, okay, pass.
Did you get the notes from yesterday?
He was driving.
All right, why don't you try guessing? Just make your best educated guess.
Become educated.
No cheating. You may not show your answers to anyone else. All right. Write down your answers and show me in 3, 2, 1.
Right, got
Scotland. The correct answer is England. So we've got, raise your hand if you got the correct answer. All right, this team, you guys get 3. And you guys get, whoa, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Wait, oh, that's right. You guys, okay, 5. And you guys get 5.
Are you both on this team? Why don't you two just slide up to those two desks right now? So that way there's an empty one in the middle, it's easier to keep track.
You guys had 6.
Hey, you're solid. Stop it. I swear it was
All right, now you guys know what we're doing. True or false? Wheatley was badly mistreated by her master and mistress. 3, 2, 1. Yes, we're here. All right, everybody should have said false. 7, yeah, 7 and 7. When were Wheatley's memoirs published? It's not a year. You don't have to put a year. But it is an amount of time. I mentioned it very specifically in the lesson.
And it was on your homework.
All right. Have your answers ready in 3, 2, 1. Yes, 50 years after her death. All right, if you got 50 years or 50 years after her death, 50 years later,
And you got first.
that's fine. Neither did a couple of them, but that's fine. Raise your hand if you had something about 50 years. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Oh
Wow.
my word.
That's bad.
No way.
You guys are selling.
Just off the top of his head.
All right.
No, you got it. I saw it.
We're getting sold.
Great Lash
No,
Mascara is America's favorite mascara. It's an example of
Oh,
what
my
type of
favorite.
propaganda.
Judith from yesterday?
Yeah.
Is this the one that Judith?
This is the winning one that you watch this on.
All right, there should
Look at
be
him. He's
no
struggling. He's struggling.
discussion.
He doesn't know.
He's not- we're not cheating.
Okay, do we have the notes for him from yesterday?
Maybe was he paying attention today? I don't know that.
Andrew?
Isaiah.
No
That's
way.
I said, here's
There's
the
testimony.
bandwagon, it could be testimonial, it could be.
Here it is,
plain
alright.
Glittering generality. Is there any other ones?
Alright,
So
you
we're
crashed
not-
course on yesterday's lesson.
Just so we're not cheating.
You're in the
So,
You are the only person who is allowed to use notes from yesterday.
Alright,
But you have to do it in the same amount of time. So look them over really quick and see where everything is, so you can flip to it quickly.
just go to the back page, go to the back page.
Back then.
And then see what those options are.
Alright?
So these are the options, so pick one of those.
Oh my goodness, alright, show me your answers.
Wait.
3, 2,
yo, you're literally holding your board like this.
1,
You're like,
show
He
me.
was looking at the thing.
Bandwagon is the correct answer.
I was
Who
looking at the board
wrote
like this,
bandwagon?
No, you.
Please raise your hand.
Joe.
Did everybody get it? I hope everyone got it because
I did, I got it.
fantastic. 'Cause was it
We
Lucas?
got it.
Judah.
I'm so sorry.
We got it.
Yeah, he was the one who, he was all by himself over in that corner and he got the right answer. That was very impressive. So I included that here. All right. What is Thomas Paine's most famous work?
This one.
All right, listen carefully to the question. His most famous work. All right,
Yeah.
show me your answers. In
Yeah, he's got it.
3, 2, 1.
Bro, he's literally got it.
Common sense is the correct answer. I cannot see what is written there. But he wrote common. You wrote common sense. Okay, raise your hand if you wrote common sense.
Look at it.
1,
It's
2,
a
3,
It's
4,
really good.
5.
Look, and you can come back here.
Okay,
I got
okay.
Wow.
7 every time seems a little bit.
No, we got 6.
All right, guys.
Yeah.
I see you, Toby.
Yeah.
All right, listen up. Woo! What is it called when an author intends to teach in their works?
This is from the
Yes, particularly when moral instruction is the ulterior motive.
This is one of the ones that.
We do one both ways.
No.
What?
Too easy. Too easy.
I'll take just one.
Yeah.
There are a couple different forms of this answer. I'll list.
This is from the. He just put
Show me your answers in 3, 2, 1.
I don't know how to spell it.
If you wrote didactic or didacticism, you are correct. All right, raise your hand if you got the correct answer. 1, 2, 3.
Oh.
Hey, you're sunny.
All right, over here, Toby, did you guys raise your hand if you got it right?
5.
1, 2,
4.
3, 4. Got it right?
If you can count.
You guys got
that's
4 over here and 5 over. Wow.
We
Pete,
got,
come
we
in
got 6.
clutch.
We got 10. Wait, who did
Next
get it?
question.
Hmm?
We agree.
We got
with
6.
Payne.
Wait, we got 6.
You guys got 6?
We got 6.
No.
You're just we're catching up.
Alright, this was from the lecture yesterday. You had to be listening. We spent a bit of time on this one. We agree with Payne that the church and state should be separate.
I know.
But we disagree on why it should be separate. What did we say was the reason we disagree with him?
This was in the lecture.
Yes. Yes, so the church and state should be separate. I think it might be in the notes. I'm so
okay.
sorry if it's not. But this was more a question to see if y'all were listening. So why does Payne believe the church and state should be separate, and why do we believe? You don't have to put both, you can put one or the other.
I wrote 2.
Alright? It's a little bit of a longer answer to this question, so I'm
Yeah,
giving you a little
just
bit
start
more
writing the
time.
sentence why you think that church and state.
Why do you believe the church and state should be separate? Go ahead and just write something down. Why do you think the church and state should be separate?
Why should church is.
Good help.
No. Just something good. Why should the church, why should the government not control the church?
I actually went for
I think you're asking a lot.
Alright. Show me your answers in 3, 2, 1. If you wrote something to the effect
that's not
of Payne believes that the church had a detrimental on the state, or we believe that the state has a detrimental effect on the church. If you put anything like that, you get the right answer. We spent a bit of time on that yesterday. Alright, raise your hands if you have the correct answer. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
No, they got 2 of them wrong. Okay? So we're still up.
Next question. What type of verse does Wheatley use into the University of Cambridge?
Oh, I can't remember the difference between the two.
What type of verse? So we're talking about poetry.
There's like two
What type of verse? Show me your answers in 3, 2, 1. Blank verse is correct.
Wait, did you get it?
Abby, would you accept your
You got it.
for blank?
You got it. I didn't want to hold mine up.
Alright, if you said blank, raise your hand. 1, 2, 3. Only 3 words? Come on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Those of you on that side of the room, keep your boards on your desk till she asks you. If you hold your board like this, you're giving people behind you your answer, and that's not fair. There are a couple of you doing that over there, by the way.
Board down.
Alright, next question. Glittering generalities appeals to our blank instead of our logical reasoning.
Boards down, on your desk, right on your desk. Put your board down and right on your desk.
Alright.
This is part of those. That page, maybe.
Show me your answers in
Then we go to simultaneous.
Mark one of them.
3,
Wait,
2.5,
No, it's not. It's like, he's not gonna know. It's not.
2,
it's not
1.5, 1. If you wrote emotions, you get all right answers.
Yo, you guys have gotten 2 wrong too. Don't look at me.
Alright.
Don't look at me, Shane. Don't turn
Raise
around,
your hand if
monkeys.
you said emotions. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 over here, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5.
Lower than usual. We got 2 wrong.
When does this class end?
35.
We might be able to get through all these questions. Name one way Wheatley's life was similar to that of Joseph's in the Bible. We are referencing our T-chart here.
There is someone gets this.
Isaiah.
No, I'm not selling this. I know this one. Wait,
Alright.
similar?
How are the stories of Wheatley and Joseph similar? Show me your answers in 3, 2, 1.
Everyone should get this.
Fantastic. If you put something about slavery, you are correct. Alright, who wrote something that we wrote on our T-chart?
Shane?
Should be everyone.
No, he got it.
Really should be everyone. Fantastic. Great job. Good job, guys. I'm running out of room here. Alright, next one. This group of people were colonists who are still loyal to the king during the revolution. Colonists who were still loyal to the king during the revolution. Alright. It's in the notes.
What's the?
4, 3, 2.
Alright.
Park this thing. Driving the car all day.
King calls them out in American Crisis
He
Papers.
says,
What did you just say?
He put the slide on American Crisis Papers.
what do you call the people?
Brad. Where?
That's like basically
Like, this is- He has the-
Alright, find your answer in 5,
Wait,
4,
just write down what you're looking at.
3,
Think about it right.
What is that?
2,
Joe, look at him.
1. Show me your answers.
That's wrong. Whatever you
The correct
put.
answer
What is that?
is
I swear to look at no one. It's right here. It's right here. I promise. Is that
I can't even see
It's
it.
Tori's. I swear. It's T-O-R.
Tori's.
Yes, I promise.
Alright, yes, it says Tori's.
No, I couldn't see what he's looking at. Right down something.
Raise your hand if you wrote down Tori's.
Oh.
This really should be everything too. This was a softball question.
No. It looks like he's on to write something down and chooses not to call timeout, so it's like,
Okay.
just right there.
What is one biblical doctrine that Cain attacked in the age of reason? I have a list of this. We went through of biblical doctrines that Cain specifically attacks in the age of reason.
Yeah, probably.
There are like 6 different answers to this question. Just write down a biblical doctrine that you're familiar with and he probably attacked it. And then go through your slides and review. Alright? Once you've written something down, please turn over your board. Alright, write down your answer in 5, 4,
I have no idea.
3, 2,
Everyone's looking at you, just say.
1. Show me your answers.
Something right.
Alright, if you wrote creation, the fall, Christ's divinity, miracles, the resurrection, or the invention, any one of those answers could be correct.
Made enemies to the close.
Alright, who wrote one of those things?
Nick.
Nate! What did you write?
Separation of church and state.
That's not a biblical doctrine.
Close enough.
Alright, who over here got it? So you have 6 over here, I believe, and 1, 2, 3, 4.
Hey, use that.
Whoa.
Hold on.
3.
Alright.
3.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That looks like 3. You can't have
4,
that.
4, they rose their hands,
More,
she
yeah.
said 4.
There were
There's
4
nothing
over
else to
here,
count.
right?
Yeah.
4. Alright, 4, and then we had 6 over here.
Not bad.
Every Tory is a coward is an example of what type of propaganda?
Joe, keep your mouth quiet.
Softball question. Every Tory is a coward.
Joe.
I literally said it's in the notes, that's facts.
It is in the notes. Show me your answer in 5,
That makes sense.
And my board's down.
3,
I don't know.
2.5, 2,
Come on.
1. Show me your answer.
What did you put?
Got it.
You got it?
If you put name calling, you got it correct. What did you write?
You wrote name call.
You wrote name calling? Alright, raise your hand if you wrote name calling. That should be everybody. Everybody? Fantastic. Alright. We have 2 more
Oh, they're
questions.
saying that.
So the University of Cambridge addresses the problem of students accumulating knowledge without what? We talked for quite a while about this. Alright. There is a danger that we are accumulating knowledge without what? Show me your answers in 3,
That's right.
2,
Right, whatever you're thinking. Try something.
1. Show me your answer. If you wrote wisdom, you're correct. Oh my goodness. Alright, raise your hand if you said wisdom.
Let's go. Finally.
7 and 6. Fantastic. Last question. This is for all the marbles. What is the belief that God was the creator and the great block
I'm pretty sure
finder,
this is in the
but now
notes.
he just sits in heaven and doesn't interfere with his creation?
What?
This is what
Come
is
on.
the name of this belief that Thomas Paine defended in the Age of Reason?
There's no way. There's no way.
Wait, what's the question? Wait, what is the belief?
Yeah, I don't know.
He's a creator, but he doesn't interfere with his creation. Show me your answer in 5,
GG guys.
4, 3,
I don't know.
2, 1. Show me your answer. If you said deism, you are correct. Raise your hand if you wrote deism. 1, 2, 3. Nick! Nick!
I don't know.
Alright, 6.
I sold us. Look at you guys.
Alright.
corner right here.
What? I only got 2 wrong. There was 15 questions. I only got 2 wrong.
Add them up. Just,
Do we want to stop this?
Huh?
Do we stop this or keep
Yeah,
going?
that's fine.